Just moved in my new house today. Moving was hard, but I got squared away. Bells started ringing and chains rattled loud. I knew I'd moved in a haunted house. Still I made up in my mind to stay. Nothing was gonna drive me away.
As they say, a day late and a dollar short. In other words, it's Tuesday, and I did do some Halloween work yesterday on my props and a couple other things. Forgot to grab the camera. I was kind of out of it yesterday. So you're getting opening to the vlog on Tuesday. And we've been working on a couple different things yesterday. You remember a vlog or two back, I mentioned I had yard work I had to do before I could put up my hunt. Got a little bit more of it done yesterday. Spent most of the day doing it, in fact. Didn't quite get it done. Finish it off later this week. Also did some work on the bubble tubes out in the shop, and you will get a bit of a look at that next segment. Right now, I'm in the house, in my shop, and still working on the bubble tubes, working on another idea. Brought in, this is the top to the bubble tubes here. You can see where I have my hole drilled so I can get my air line in, and my vent hole up there, and the screw. Been trying to figure out how I want to do my lighting on here. And if you guys will remember back, for those who've been following the channel since, when was it? January, February. I had a little odd job project I was doing. I was converting over some of my UV spots over into so I can make floods out of them. And I mentioned at that time it was a project I was going to be working on off and on throughout the summer as I felt like it. If I got it done this year, I got it done. No worries. Well, I got to thinking that project, I found a use for it. I'm going to use those LEDs inside the caps here to light my water tubes. So I've been slowly over the last week going through and soldering some LEDs up right here. Got them in sets of 3, and I still need to get my leads on them. And it's going on about noon at this point in time. Spent the morning, I was being lazy, I was tired, so I popped a couple of movies in. I've been watching some movies this morning and soldering LEDs. Got all the LEDs soldered up between yesterday and today. I worked on it yesterday evening. Like I said, I still need to get the leads on them. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to remove that screw for one point because I don't have the room to play around it with my big fingers. But I'm going to take the LEDs and solder them to the bottom of the cap and have them pointed down in toward the water. And I figure I'm going to put, I got them in collections of 3. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is putting 2 bunches, 6 of them in there, which is basically what I have my floodlights set for in my haunt. It's a series of 6 LEDs, and they put out quite a bit of light, so I'm hoping it should be enough to illuminate the bubble tubes, or atomic fuel rods, or whatever you want to call them. But that's what I've been working on this morning. Okay, now we're back out in the shop. Yesterday morning I had a couple of errands to run, as usual on my Mondays. Mondays are my errand days. One of the places I stopped by was PetSmart, which is a pet store, a regional chain, I guess. I don't know if PetSmart's in other areas of the country or not. But to get my air in the tubes, so they had the bubbling effect, I picked up an aquarium air pump, Air 8000. It was the biggest one they had. It was 29 bucks, which I didn't think was too bad. And then I also picked up, I should say, the air pump has 4 nipples coming off of it, so you can run 4 air lines. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dedicate one nipple to one of the boxes, the other nipple to the other box, and these 2 will go for the 3rd holder I'm making. And I picked up those. I also picked up these here, and it's basically an extension on it. What you do is you plug one air line into it off the pump, and then it splits it off into 4 air lines, which will be good because the top of my pipes have 4 inlets. So one of these will get attached to the back of the box, each of the boxes. And then I picked up some 3-way tees for the same thing. The next container I have to build yet holds 6 pipes, and I figured it's going to be easier if I just break it into 3s. You know, I have there's 6 pipes, so 3 of the pipes will be connected to this one, the other 3 will be connected to this one, and then there'll be one line from each of these going out to those other 2 nipples. Also picked up some air stones. These go on the end of my airlines, which will be located at the bottom of the tubes down there, and then you'll get some bubbles percolating up. Or in camera here, percolating up. You were seeing this part here. A little goofy, as usual. The one thing I did not get, and I've been debating on and decided I needed to get, was some check valves. Check valves, a little tube that you attach to your airline, so the water doesn't fill up the airline. It'll only be allowed to go up so far, and the rest of the airline will have air in it. The reason why I'm bringing that up is I've got to run the air pumps are probably going to be 5 or 6 feet away from the boxes. Okay, and that's a lot of distance, you know, to be pushing air as it is. But if I don't use those check valves, these tubes are going to be full of water. That means that airline's going to be full of water up to the top of the tube. And that's a lot of pressure for that little pump to try to push air through, because when I turned the pump on, it would have to push the water out of the tube and into the pipes to get your air, you know, your bubbling. And that's a lot of stress. You know, I've got 14 tubes to do. That's a lot of water to have to push out. So what I was thinking is I'm going to be dropping the airline through that copper piece that goes in the middle. The stone will go on the bottom and sit down at the bottom cup, and then about 1 or 2 inches back from that, I'll put one of the check valves. That way, the pump only has to move 1 inch of water in each tube instead of 3 feet of water in each tube. Make it a lot easier on the pump. Now, just to play it safe, I bought 2 of the pumps just in case one pump isn't going to be enough. And if one pump is enough, I'll have another air pump for another project I've been thinking about doing, which will be next year if I get to it. As far as my inserts, when I left the vlog last week, I still had 3 of these to do. And these are the copper inserts. Airline will go down through the tip here, come out the bottom with the air stone, which I was referring to shortly. But anyway, I had 3 of these left to hammer out. I got those done. That was the first project, so it was out. I then went and made my chocks. In most cases, and they wouldn't, first off, they would not transport nuclear fuel rods in this fashion. You kill everybody within miles. But I was thinking in a container that they were carrying, they would have a set of chocks. Usually it's 2 pieces of wood. You know, it'd be divided right over the whole, or 3 pieces in this case. You know, you'd have a cut line here. So that piece would come out and you'd be able to pull the rods out. Same thing with down in the back there. But I wanted these permanently mounted, and they're mounted. I used some of the same glue as I did on the caps down here to glue them into place. But I got those cut out and done yesterday. So that was what I spent most of my day doing, was cutting those blocks out with what time I had. Today's project, I am a little concerned. The cases are going to be standing up like this in the haunt, and these actually sit about 1 inch up off the bottom down there when I get these mounted in. And I'm thinking once I fill all 4 tubes with water, that's going to be a lot of weight. I don't know how well that glue's holding. I know it's kind of holding it into place now, and I'm not going to torque on it to see how strong it is and rip it to hell. So I'm going to cut some little blocks to sit down underneath each of the pipes, and the pipes will actually rest on that, and then this will get screwed in to the side of the cabinet so it doesn't fall out. So I'm going to work on that now. The LEDs I showed you in the last segment. Here's the caps here that go on the end of the pipes. I kind of ran you through that. I'll be working on that probably tonight, doing that. But anyway, I'm going to get my little blocks cut out, and I'm going to set these off to the side. I've still got to design and cut out my third holder, and I want to get all that type of stuff done before I get into doing any type of painting on it. These are going to need to be painted. The blocks I put in underneath the pipes need to be painted, and then the caps on each end of the pipe need to be painted as well. So I've got a little bit of painting left to do on this one after I get done putting everything in that needs to be in. It didn't take too long to get those blocks in. We gotta give you a look. Got the caps back on them. Now I did go and draw a hole in the back there because I gotta have some place for the air lines and the power cords for the LEDs to exit the boxes. I don't want them coming out the front, so I did that. And then down here at the bottom, I put some blocks in. There's one underneath each tube in both boxes, and each box has a hole in the back for the cords. My next thing I need to do now on these is paint. Okay, toward the end of the day, it's going on almost 8 o'clock. I got another project I'm going to work on that's related to this, but here is today's work so far. Tubes I already had done, you know that, but the case here is what I ended up doing for the skeleton to hold. Now, as with the chocks on the box over there and the caps, this needs to be painted, and I'm going to do the painting tomorrow. Now, one thing I did not do was glue the pipes in, and I did not glue the pipes in for a reason. It'd make it too hard to get in here with a paintbrush and paint. I'd be getting paint all over the place. So I want to be able to take the clear tubes out, which I'm going to do tomorrow. I'll get it painted, and then after the wood's painted and dried, I'll slip the chocks in and get them glued into place tomorrow night. And then Thursday that will be permanently attached. But got my tubes in. Copper tubes are inside the clear tubes. I got the caps on. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to take a look at the other ones too, but I think they're all the same thing. The copper tube here, even though there's a room inside the cap for it to stick up, I think I'm gonna cut it down to match. Let's see here. I'm trying to find one that has one. Okay, we'll just go like this. I don't know if you're seeing it or not, but the notch there, that's where my air hose comes out. I'm thinking about maybe taking about an inch off the copper pipe so it's at the same level as that notch to make it easier for the air hose and stuff to bend out and stuff. That's something I could mess around with when I'm sitting around waiting. Okie dokie. Been out here, wanted to give you another quick peek. Went and got my skeleton out. Before I could put great stuff on it, I needed to get the joints into place. And I'll tell you, it ain't easy. Especially with the thing he's supposed to be leaning up against isn't glued together, and it wants to wobble back and forth. And I know if you're looking at it, it's sitting kind of cockeyed at the moment. That's because the pipes aren't glued in. I won't have that problem in the home. I'm telling I'm done with that, the pipes will be glued in. And I explained why they aren't glued in the last segment. But I wanted to give you a look at the skeleton and the position I've got him in. And I got to film it for posterity. Okay, it's kind of like he's in a walking mood or getting ready to pick it up. And then we got his hands over the top of the cylinders. Now, I ended up, the arms wanted to stay further further apart. The hands are actually over on each side of this, and I wanted them here. So after I locked the joints into place, I went ahead and temporarily tacked the hands down to the pipes to hold the arms in that position. I got my heat gun out and heated up the elbow, which hopefully softened the plastic enough for the hands to stay in that position. If not, when I put it in the hunt, I'll just drive a screw through the lid and hopefully not break the wiring on the lights in the process. But anyway, time to great stuff. Hey peeps, next day, been out here for probably about 10 minutes fixing a repair. Just basically getting going. Showed you that stuff yesterday. That stuff's all ready for painting. I left you though with him, and he was the repair I had. I came out here. Alright, I think I'm going to turn the radio down because I'm yelling over the radio, so it usually means it's too loud. Okie dokie, here we go again. Got out here this morning, and I liked how he turned out. I had some great stuff on the eyes, the feet, or the hands and the feet had great stuff, you know, hanging down, just didn't look right, so I went through to clean them off. And on the feet, I swung them up, you know, the foot up toward me, so I cleaned off the bottom of the foot. Got one done, went to start on the second one, and the spine snapped on me. Clean in half. So I put a wood dowel in and did some zip ties and a couple of screws on there, and that'll hold them good enough together. He's not going to be under any movement or anything. He's just going to be staked out in the hunt, you know, so no torque on him. He should be okay. But figured I'd give you a look. Now, I didn't do any corpsing on this guy. I basically put on a pair of gloves, sprayed great stuff in my big mitt of a hand, and just started smearing them. Didn't look like much when I got done with it, but after he sat overnight and the great stuff kind of dried and swelled up, turned out looking pretty damn good, I think. I think once he's painted, he's really going to be nice. There's going to be a lot of painting on him. I also got talking to the wife, and a lot of you remember the Skeleton Wars. Yeah, the fun Skeleton Wars I was having with Tim Thompson, aka Scuba. Never came close to having what he had. And I think I'm sitting about 30 and he's up to about 70. I did beat him on dogs though this year. I picked up 6. If you notice, there's only 4 over there. That's because the other 2 are right here. And I went and did the same technique as I did on that guy on these guys. Nice thing is the head still swivels, so I can point the head in different directions, and the mouth still works. I made sure of that. But these guys are going to get painted the same fashion as the skeleton is, and these will be going into the blacklight room too. And I figure if a guy had the paint out to paint that guy, I might as well paint these guys. Hey, end of the day, figured I'd give you an update on what I've gotten done out here so far today. Started, well, kind of started over here. Got these things sitting upside down right now because the caps are wet. But we did get them stained green, so they will fit right in there. And the chalks match the box, which I wanted, and I got the blocks at the bottom of the box also done. Those are all painted. They need to dry overnight. Then I went through my, what would you call it, motor? Reactive nuclear fuel rod holder, I guess. Got it painted. Got all the caps painted for all the tubes. And I just got the pipes glued into this, so I can't move that around. Then we came out here and we did the skeleton and the 2 dogs. I base coated them white, let them dry for about 2 hours, and then went over it with the fluorescent green. I need to go back over with the red and do the detail work on them yet, but they need to dry overnight. Side note, we had a month of about 110 degree weather earlier in the season. And I was really kind of enjoying it, especially when painting. I was able to spray a coat on, and about 40 minutes later, it'd be dry because of the heat. Last couple of weeks, we've been averaging right around 80. It's taken about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Spray, paint your item, be bone dry. Yesterday was 79. Today, cloudy, pouring rain, 60 degrees. Fucking chilly. Needless to say, the paint knew it too, because I had a hell of a time with painting them. As you can see down there on the ground, that green splatter down there. I went and did my base coat on both the dogs and the skeleton, and it was dry to the touch. And I didn't even think about temperature, think about the weather. I just kind of spaced out. Okay, grabbed my green, went to spray my green on, just like I normally would in the hotter weather. And I get all the way down to his feet, and I look down at the floor, and I got splatter down there, and it's not green, it's not white, it's kind of a greenish white. Spraying the green on it softened the white up. The white hadn't set up all the way. Nice added feature, though, with the paint running like that. It gave it a nice streak look in some of the areas where I didn't shoot green, especially right here on the pelvis. I don't know if it's showing it or not, but it's kind of a neat look. I kind of like it, so I'm going to leave it as is, and I'll just come back in and do some detailing with the red like I did with the other two skeletons I did. Welcome to Thursday. Here we go again. I figure I'd bring you up to speed on where I've gotten on here. I've been out here kind of putzing around working on the bubble tubes and various other projects. Things that needed to get done in order to start setting up the hunt next week. Got my yard work out in the front yard done, so it's ready for tents. Those go up either Sunday afternoon or Monday. I mentioned that earlier in the vlog. But let's get you on over to the bubble tubes. There we go. Got the caps on them. They've got the rods in it. The chocks have been painted. So though that end of it's done, and then we've got the reactor engine itself with its rods in it, and it's done. Okay, at this point stage, I'm done with painting, I'm done with assembly and everything. I've only got two things left to do on this project. One is run the airlines, and also, like I said earlier in the vlog, I can't do that until those check valves come in. The second one is on the caps here. I was debating on how I want to light these things up. The tubes are going to be filled with water. I'm going to put some of the same color dye in them as I'm using in the ponds. And then the air will bubble up through it. The water I'm using in the ponds is fluorescent as well. So that means I need black lights. Now, I was thinking I could either station black lights out away from them and just have them shining down on it. I like how Goth Gloom did theirs, though. They had the light underneath the tubes and was lighting it up that way, and it looked really, really neat. So, some of you remember last spring, I went through and cleaned up some of my LEDs, and I decided to disassemble my UV or the blacklight LED spots that I had. You want to know the reason for it? Go back and watch the vlog. I'm not going to get into it. But anyway, at that time I said I was going to reuse the LEDs for another project, down the road. And I've been kind of messing with them. These were just single lights, and I've got them wired into threes. These are actually going to be, hoping these will be my lights for the tubes. I need to do a little tweaking on the bending on them and stuff, but I need to install them inside the lid here. And I'll install them with some hot glue. Hot glue is one of Alejandro's best friends. So basically that's where I'm at now. I need to start installing all the LEDs into all the caps, hot gluing them in, and then getting their leads wired up and what have you. Hey guys, going on almost dinner time, getting ready to head in the house. Haven't gotten what would it seem overly much done. Actually, it is quite a bit done. Showed you those earlier today. Got those all finished. That stage is done. And I was talking about the LEDs, which went into the caps, which fit on top of the pipes. I had planned originally to put 6 LEDs in here. That should be more than bright enough to highlight that whole tube. Problem is, there isn't room for 6, so I've got 3 LEDs in each. I'm hoping that's going to be enough to illuminate the whole tube with the water and the colored dye and stuff in it. Since it's going into the black light room, even if these don't, the black lights, and I've got some floods I've done, I can always put a couple of floods by these to illuminate the bottom half if these don't go all the way through. Now, these here, they're mounted in there. I still got to run the wires out through that hole there and solder on my main wire. I got about 2 foot of, cut some wire out into 2 foot lengths there. And it's actually going to be more than enough, because on these, once the caps get in, it's got to run through that hole out the back, and I've got a fitting back here I'm going to be putting on there to tie them into, that the main power line will go into. I still have to get that put together. With these, I'm thinking the wire is going to come out here by maybe drilling a hole here right behind the tube, and then running the wire and the air line off the bottom of the platform here. And I'm going to have, I got a couple of fittings I need to put on here for the air lines and for the LEDs. They'll be hanging off the back of it here where people won't notice it as much, I hope. With that, I'm going to bring this vlog to a close. Now, the next vlog you see, and as far as this project goes, it's going to be a little bit weird. As you've probably heard on Facebook, we start setting up either Sunday afternoon or Monday morning, and I've mentioned it in this vlog and the last vlog that we're getting ready to set up. We are going to be switching into daily vlog mode either Sunday or Monday. So one of those 2 days, you're going to start seeing a vlog from me every day. So just a warning. If you're watching this on Facebook and you want to follow along with the daily vlogs on the setup of the haunt, please make sure you make it over to my YouTube channel and subscribe to me, because I cannot guarantee I will be posting every daily vlog to Facebook. So please make it over to my YouTube channel if you haven't already and subscribe. And I've got like 1,200 friends on Facebook and only 530 subscriptions on YouTube. So I know a good portion of you haven't made it over to my YouTube channel to subscribe. So please come on over and subscribe, because I do post stuff on my YouTube channel. I don't always post it on Facebook, so you might be missing something. But what's going to be weird is this project is going to overlap into the daily vlog setup. So you'll probably see a lot of setup going on out front, and then down toward the end of the day you'll get a clip of where I'm at on these. And I'll be working on this in the evenings when it gets too late to be working out front, while I'm going to be disturbing neighbors and stuff. So I'll come into the shop and putz around for a little bit. That goes for the same for the skeleton and the 2 dogs. These are some stuff I'll be working on in the evenings and stuff. So if you want to see the upgrade of the build and stuff on the pipes and on the skellies, make sure you watch the daily vlogs, because there will be some in that. And I'm undecided on whether I'm going to do a showcase vlog on the water tubes. I may just wait till they're in the haunt and, you know, and hooked up to go there before I do a final showcase. But I will have more on these as we get along. So with that, I'm going to say, oh, I'm not going to say anything. Actually, I am going to say something, but not what I was thinking about saying. End of the vlog here. I'm going to throw in a little, after I close out the vlog, I'm going to throw in a little clip. Many of you know I sell produce from my hometown over on the coast, over in the Seattle area. And last Sunday was our final farmers market for Sunday. Our Sunday farmers market. It was the last one of the season. I decided to have a little bit of Halloween fun with it, and it went over. It was a big hit. So I took a little bit of footage of it. I'm going to put it in at the very end of this Just watch. It's probably about 20 seconds, if that. But the kids and the adults had a ball with what I did. So have fun, stay safe, stay spooky, and stay toxic. Our last Sunday market, and I decided to have a little bit of fun. Brought a little Halloween into the mix.